Coach, you want to give us a couple thoughts as you head into open practice day, one day before the national semifinal?
Yeah, we met as a team this morning, and I told the guys if it doesn't feel a little bit different today than it did yesterday, leading up till tomorrow, then we're not ready. And everybody assured me that it did. So we're just excited about the opportunity. To me personally, this open practice is it's just kind of sacred. You know, I grew up in coaching, coming to these. It's the one part of the Final Four that I've never missed. You know, I'd come to all 4 practices, sit up there with my coaching friends, and watch the Michigan States, the North Carolinas, the Dukes, the Kansases of the world of college basketball, and dream of being here. And so it's here, and I intend to have a great time here in our 50-minute practice today. We're going to get a lot of shots up and try to enjoy the moment.
If you have a question for Coach Beard, please raise your hand. We have a couple in already. Let's start to the right of the aisle, midway back. Remember your name and media outlet, and then your question. That's that back right microphone.
Hondo Carpenter with SpartanNation.com. Coach, your team plays incredibly intensive on defense, which is something Michigan State likes to do. Is it fun to be able to, most teams just don't play with the intensity you do on that side of the ball. Is that a fun challenge to play someone who has the same commitment that you do?
It's a great name, Hondo. Have you ever heard of Hondo from Lukenbach, Texas? Yeah. I've got 3 daughters, but I always said if I had a son, I was going to name him Hondo. Actually, the girls didn't know that. You know, just to be mentioned in the same question or statement with our defense in Michigan State's a huge compliment for our program. Yes, we try to guard at a high level. It's been the identity of our teams at all different levels, and now currently at Texas Tech. But it's something we try to recruit to. We certainly coach and emphasize it, and it's just always kind of our belief of basketball, and it's kind of reinforced by Coach Knight in those years under him. And just getting to know Coach Izzo, but the last couple of days have been pretty cool. He spent last night. He was talking about his relationship with Coach Heathcote and the defense and things like that. So, yeah, I don't think people ask all the time, is it challenging? Not really. I mean, good players want to be coached, and good players want that trust factor. And I think once you explain to the guys, this is why we do the things we do, and this is what defense can lead to. Once they kind of visualize it and they understand how important it is, it becomes everybody's identity. But I think Michigan State's one of the best defensive teams in college basketball, as they are every year. To me, it's much more than just the rebounding. It's the positioning and the gaps and the toughness, the mental toughness, the lack of mistakes, the players playing roles, their rim protection. It's one of the best shot blocking teams in college basketball, but they do it by committee. So Michigan State, we have a lot of respect for, obviously, but their defense is at the top of the list of reasons why.
In the center toward the front.
Hey, Coach, Andy Pepper from WWMT in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Sadly, my name is not Hondo. Hondo actually asked part of what I wanted to ask, so I'll take it a step further. You've been glowing in your reverence for Coach Izzo, and I just wanted you to touch on that a little bit more about the respect you have for him and why. There's a lot of great coaches out there, but what is it about Tom Izzo that resonates with you so much?
Well, I think it's 3 things. One, you know, talking to people that know Coach and kind of study him and reading the books and articles like everybody. You know, I'm 100% sure that this is a coach that hasn't changed from when he was a high school coach to an assistant coach, graduate assistant, then assistant, now head coach, and then NCAA coach, national championship coach, Naismith Hall of Fame coach. He hasn't changed. And everybody around him says he's the same old coach. You kind of feel that. In coaching, we're kind of a fraternity. We spend Aprils together and Julys, and you might run into somebody at a rental car counter or a gym, or, you know, one time at the Peach Jam, they got 1 row of chairs on court 3, and I just happened to be sitting somewhere, and then you're sitting next to a Coach Izzo. Now, he obviously will not remember this story, but I do. And he's just a guy that, you know, he's personable, he's nice, he treats everybody, regardless of what a guy's shirt says, the logo on the shirt. To me, he just kind of goes out of his way. He's a coach's coach. He helps coaches. So that's the first thing. Then obviously on the basketball court, you know, everybody has an idea kind of how the way the game's played, and the way Michigan State plays is exactly how I kind of visualize the game. You know, defense and toughness, they have an identity. He coaches his guys hard, but you can tell he loves his guys and they love him. The relationship piece is there. I don't know, I just have a lot of respect for their program.
Up front to the left, Brian.
Brian Hamilton from The Athletic. Basketball-wise, what are the biggest Bob Knight influences on you?
Yeah, I think preparation. We try to get our guys prepared. I think respecting every single opponent. The biggest game we play is the next game on the schedule. My girlfriend Randy, somebody asked her the other day how big a game it was when we were like playing Gonzaga, and she said it feels like just like it did opening night against Incarnate Word, and that's exactly right. To us, the next game on the schedule is the most important game. I learned that from Coach Knight. The ability to bounce guys back into play pretty quickly. If we had some success, Coach would humble them pretty quick. Let's get back to work. If we came up a little bit short, he'd bang him up a little bit, but we were always ready to play the next game. I never saw one loss turn into 2 losses with Coach Knight. Player development, getting guys better. Just so many things with Coach Knight. Literally, pretty much, maybe in most aspects of our program today, he influences in some way.
Brian, you wanted to follow?
Quick follow. I mean, how instrumental was Bob in sort of just giving you a break to start at Texas Tech, right from going from a JUCO to there?
Yeah, I was coaching junior college basketball at Seminole State College in Oklahoma and had the best job in the world coaching our guys every day. And we were coming off a 25-win season, and we had three returning starters, and we were out recruiting. And then I just got hooked up with Coach. He sat out 1 year between Indiana and Texas Tech, and he was looking at different jobs around the country. And then I was just fortunate. I went to Lubbock to spend a few days, but the guy that really endorsed it was Pat Knight. I met Coach Knight first, but then I spent several days with Pat, and we developed a relationship that turned into a strong friendship. And Pat was the one that basically, in my eyes, got me the job at Texas Tech. Coach might disagree, but it was definitely Pat, I think, endorsing. And I still have a close relationship with Pat today.
Couple on the right side. Let's start with Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin Brockway, CNHI Indiana Sports. Coach, when you look at the guard talent and the wing talent throughout this Final Four, including Jared Culver, how does that speak to maybe the game evolving over the last decade in terms of smaller lineups and a lot of guards throughout this Final Four?
Yeah, I think obviously guards have been a big part of basketball forever. And certainly in today's game, I think it's just more versatility on the floor. I've never, when we were a small college and even Little Rock, small ball, maybe you can't go out and get those 6'8", 6'9" guys. You try to play different positions. Certainly in the NBA, Golden State kind of transformed this. In college basketball, we'd study Villanova's teams forever, and I thought it was small ball until we went out there last year in the Elite Eight in Boston. It was not small ball. These guys were 6'9", 6'10". They could just dribble, pass, and shoot, and some people say it's small ball. So, but I still think there's a place in college basketball for the big guy. And Michigan State certainly has, three or four of them that we've got a lot of respect for. And even on our team, we're not here today if it's not for Nortz. We're not here today if it's not for Tariq. But I think guards get a lot of attention in college basketball. But I think it's still, you got to have some play around the basket to advance.
In that same area, Dan.
Hey, Chris, Dan Walken, USA Today. Both at Little Rock and Texas Tech, you've had a lot of success with transfers, junior college players, guys who you haven't had a lot of time to build into your program. How fundamental is it to just your philosophy of building a team that you go out and get some of those guys?
Yeah, you mentioned the key word, time. I mean, it's not arrogance. It's just the truth. We're really good at coaching one-year guys. Coach Cal at Kentucky is pretty good at it too. It just goes back to different backgrounds. Junior college, D2, low major, your roster is always changing. My experiences in professional basketball, the rosters change. Guys come in on contracts, leave. So I think there's an art to it. I don't think you can coach a guy in a one-year setting like you can in a 2 or 3 year setting. The first thing I think is you got to get a relationship quickly. So with like Matt and Tariq this year, for example, we just said, look, we got to develop this relationship quickly. When the guys got to Lubbock in late May, I'm not a golfer. I'm a basketball guy. I've got my 3 daughters, my family, and Randy, and so I just told Matt, like, we got to get a lot done. It might be the point, Tariq, where you get kind of tired of me, but I ate lunch with Matt and Tariq in the summer, and I would check on them, and I'd be in the gym at night with them, and we just spent time. But I think the thing you're fighting when you coach one of your guys is time, because this coach has had a relationship with this player for 2, 3 years. We've got to get a relationship for two months. And I always tell those guys, too, the first game we play of the season, which this year was against Incarnate Word, if I'm not mistaken, I want you to feel like you've already been at Texas Tech for a couple of years. And to do that, there's a process to it. We practice a little bit different. We spend more time off the court together. But what you're fighting in those situations is time. and we try to compete with time by spending a lot of time together and developing relationships quicker than most.
Right side, left of the aisle.
Chris, Jace Frederick, St. Paul Pioneer Press. Just wondering, I guess, how do you go about establishing expectations and tradition in a program when you come in that maybe doesn't have a lot of either?
Well, first of all, Texas Tech does have great tradition. It might not be on the national scene lately, but great basketball tradition. In my lifetime, Coach Myers, the old Coliseum, Polk Robinson, I think Coach played for him, and we have an old municipal Coliseum that used to sell out. You couldn't get a ticket, and there was overflow in the 60s or 70s, and people would buy tickets to watch the thing on a simulcast on the theater screen. And then, Coach Myers was a championship coach in the Southwest Conference when Coach Sutton was at Arkansas and the great SMU teams. We had great players, Tony Benford, Bubba Jennings. These are iconic players in college basketball, not just Tech. Then getting into my lifetime, Coach Dickey, Sweet 16, Darvin Ham, Tony Battie, Corey Carr. They broke the backboard against North Carolina. Coach Knight, we had a great run, 3 NCAA tournaments in 4 years. Beat Gonzaga to make it to the Sweet 16. Coach Smith got the team back in the tournament. So it's not like we're just starting something that's never been there. We're rebuilding it and we're getting it going again. The biggest thing is just to eliminate outside noises and to set your own expectations. This is what we think we can do. Here's our plan to get it done, and we're going to be positive until we're there.
On the right side of the aisle, Pete.
Hey, Chris, Pete Thamel from Yahoo. A little bit of a lighter question for you. I read in one of the articles about your trip here that one of the things you gave up this year was beer, which I think is something we can all relate to, both drinking it and the notion how intimidating it would be to give it up. I'm wondering if you can just reflect on that a little bit as someone who said he drank draft beer at the Final Four for 20-something years.
Yeah, it hadn't been easy. No, we make sacrifices every year, team players, everybody in our program. Before we start official practice, we pick this up. LeBron James eliminates social media in the playoffs. I want to say Tom Brady enjoys a beer from time to time, too. He gives it up in an NFL season. So it's just the idea of elite people making sacrifices and having discipline. So there's guys on our team that have given up Netflix after 9 p.m. There's guys on our team that have given up social media. There's guys that have given up fried food. There's guys that you basically have to sacrifice something. In our culture, if you say you're going to do it, you better do it or you're about to get roasted. So me this year, it's no beer and it's no desserts, no candy. So I haven't had any ice cream, candy, cake, beer since first day of practice. A couple things though. Did you know a Pop-Tart is not a dessert? That's a breakfast. I've eaten a lot of Pop-Tarts, man, since October.
We're going to take a question from right here, but we're going to let our student athletes come up to the dais first. You can start your question. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Nolan Beilstein from the Crookston Times. You've played a couple of Big Ten teams this year. What do you find to be a common difficulty when facing a team from that conference, and have you watched any of those game films to prepare for the one you got coming up?
Yeah, absolutely. We have great respect for the Big Ten. We try to schedule as many games as we can in the non-conference. We, off the top of my head, played Northwestern last year, Nebraska this year. Obviously, in this tournament, having a chance to compete with Michigan. So when we go into a game like that, we just tell our guys, this is a Big 12 game. This is a BCS game. You better rebound and get back and take good shots. And these guys have NBA players, specifically with the Big Ten. I think the reputation's true with the physical play around the basket and the rebounding. Obviously, Hall of Fame coaching, but we try to keep it pretty simple. It's just, to us, it's a Big 12 level BCS game.
We're joined now by student athletes Noren Zodiace and Jarrett Culver as we continue with questions for the student athletes and for Coach Beard. Front left.
Coach, one more for you before we get to the players. Much has been made about your journey to get to the Final Four from your small coaching roots. I know you got tons of friends that are still at that level. Is it kind of a pride for you? Are you carrying their banner, your guys like Steve Green, Cliff Carroll, some of those guys? Absolutely.
And I hope those guys are having a blast this weekend watching our team. And I've had a chance to see a couple of them. They come by the hotel late at night and stuff. So absolutely. And when I first started, we started having a little success. I kind of shied away from that. But if our teams and my personal journey can help other coaches get opportunities to advance in this profession because they're really good coaches, if I could play any role in that, then I would gladly do so. You mentioned Steve Green, one of the best coaches I know at any level. So, yeah, I do.
Next question's for Blair. Let me just go fix Noren's.
We're good.
Blair Kirkhoff with the Kansas City Star. Chris, and for Norenz too, could you answer this? I heard Pat Mahomes is going to be here tomorrow. Have you gotten to know him? I think he came to your games in KC in November. Have you gotten to know him and just kind of what his season meant to the awareness of Texas Tech athletics?
Let's ask Norenz to take that first.
Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, definitely. When he was at Tech, I was there. We were friends. We're still friends, communicate with each other. And he's a humble guy. He stays true to who he is. He loves his Red Raiders, not just us, but other teams on our campus. And he's very supportive of us, of our program and things Texas Tech wants to do. So he's just been a great guy, ambassador for us in our school. So,
Coach, anything to add there?
Yeah, we're trying to get him on the fireside chat. That's the only problem I have with Pat is we haven't gotten that done yet. But other than that, he's been unbelievable for our university, our city, our team, our town. He's just a real ambassador. He's one of those guys that hasn't forgotten where he came from.
Continuing with questions for the student athletes and for Coach Beard, we'll go all the way to the back, right on the aisle.
Hey, Coach. We're asking some of the guys about Old Town Road. Just wanted to know what makes it so attractive to you as a song and your rallying cry, and I heard you also aren't a big fan of the remix.
Yeah, Billy Ray Cyrus, is that right? My daughter told me that this morning. Yeah, I love Billy Ray. Some Gave All. It's one of my top 25 songs. So, no, I think Old Town Road is the diversity we're looking for in our program. You know, I like country. The guys like hip-hop, rap, and it's both. So the first time we all heard it, I think we just ran with it.
Next question to the left of the aisle, Mark. And Mark and everyone, please just remember your name and media outlet before your question.
Mark Herman from Newsday, New York. This is for both players. Is it true that you voluntarily give up your cell phones regularly during the season? And if so, how do you live without them?
Let's ask Norenz first and then Jarrett.
Yeah, somebody just asked me this question. Obviously, it was my rule to take the phone up. We played on the road at Oklahoma, and it was a good idea to stay focused, locked in, get some rest, and we went on a big winning streak. So ever since then, Coach, if we come if say we play on Saturday and we come on Wednesday, every night, no matter if it's before the game or not, we've been taking the phone up. So it's helped us. Some of the guys don't like it, but it's great to be disciplined and get rest. So,
Jarrett.
I feel like it's good for us. I mean, you don't have nothing to do. You can't be on your phone. You're not on social media. You don't have your phone. Can't talk to nobody. So, I mean, it kind of forces you to get rest, get the sleep you need. So I feel like it helps us. And, I mean, once we went on that run, we just kind of stuck with it as a tradition.
You could talk to your roommate.
Let's go all the way back and all the way right, one of the last seats in the room.
Thanks. Will Birchfield, 97, won the ticket. Raise your hand. Jarrett Culver, if you were guarding Jarrett Culver, how would you try and contain him or stop him?
Pray.
I listen to my coach and do what the coach tells me to do. If I was playing for Coach Adams, I'd play side defense and play their defense.
If you have a question for the student athletes or for Coach Beard, please raise your hand. We'll send the microphone attendant in your direction. There's one all the way on the right side.
I'd let him shoot and drive.
Jim.
Hi, Jim Roop with Westwood One News. I got to follow up on this no cell phone question. You make it sound so easy, but were there withdrawals of any kind when you give up those cell phones, and at the end of the day, you just crave it, or how did you get through that?
Norenz, do you want to continue with your thoughts on the cell phone?
Some of the younger guys aren't the biggest fans of it, but with senior leadership, we really harp on it. I said it, Jarrett backed me up, and along with the other guys. So basically, they just have to. It's no choice. But they see us winning. They see how much sleep they get and how better it makes them feel in the morning. They kind of hold on to it. So.
All the way in the back on the right side. Please stand up if you could.
Bob Wodowski from the Detroit News. For Norenz, when you look at Michigan State's front line, they got three big guys. Have you run into a front line like that, and how do you plan to combat their physicalness?
In the Big 12, we have a lot of great teams. Every team is different from another team. They pose a different and unique challenge. They have three great bigs that are active, rebounders, tough guys that we just got to match that intensity, not only me, but our front line and even the other guys since we switched so much. So we'll be ready for that challenge. They're a tough team just like us, and we'll be ready come Saturday.
Up front, just to the right side.
Jim Root with three-man weave. This one's for Jarrett. You came in kind of as an underrated recruit with Zaire Smith, who's now getting some playing time with the 76ers in the NBA. Have you stayed in touch with him at all through this run? Has he been talking to you guys?
Yeah, we talk almost every day. That's my brother. Came in together, and he's doing great things. He's just working hard every day, and we talk. We're pretty close. I'm close with his family, and he's close with my family, so we just talk every day.
Is there a final question for Coach Beard or Jarrett or Norins? Final question? All the way in the back.
Coach, Mark Zucker, San Diego Union Tribune. Could you talk about your first coaching job, how much you got paid, what all you had to do, whether it was driving vans, sweeping floors?
Yeah, I didn't get paid till my fourth job.
But that one?
Oh, I just, pay. There's a lot of guys in this Final Four coaching that aren't getting paid. You scrap. We did private lessons on the side and rebound for guys, and used to cut cardboard boxes behind this grocery store, and then they just pay you because you work at any time as long as the boxes were cut by the next morning, and just all sorts of stuff like that. But I don't think coaching's any different, though. I got friends in other professions. You sacrifice. When you find something you love, you sacrifice, and none of us do this. Jared Culver doesn't play. He plays for the love of the game and not what the game does for him. And then the same thing for Norrance. And don't tell Kirby Hocutt, my AD, this, but I would do this job for free. Do I have y'all's word? You won't put that out there? No, just anything you can ever think of, to get in the business. And it's a lot of guys. They're going to be at this open practice here in a few minutes that are doing those same things right now. And Norrance and Jarrett, they both played for great high school coaches that make sacrifices and great grassroots AAU guys and have trainers and things like that. So it's just a great game. That's why the Final Four to me is special. All of us are here together for one common thing, and that's the game, the love of the game and basketball. So, yeah, my journey's not much different than anybody else's, but there was a lot of sacrifice.
Coach, your secret's safe with us. We'd like to thank Coach Beard, and we'd like to thank the student-athletes Jarrett and Norrance for joining us here in the main interview room. Thanks for the applause. Texas Tech's going to head out for their open practice in the main Arena Bowl. We're going to close up the Texas Tech locker room as well. And we'll be back here in the main interview room at 1:30 with Coach Izzo and